Welcome to the Millionaire Hairstylist Podcast. I'm Jordan Drake, your host, joined in just a bit by our founder, celebrity hairstylist Cash Lawless, on the podcast where we talk mindset, models, and money with the most successful hairstylists, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators in the hair industry, the beauty industry, and beyond. Let's go.
When you think about the kind of money you want to make and the career you want to have, do you envision yourself standing behind the chair 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, doing the same thing over and over and over and over again until the day you die? I really want everybody to see their price as the first ceiling to break through. This is the part no one talks about, the money.
Today on the podcast, we're addressing the myth that you can't be financially successful as a hairstylist unless you live and work in a big market. You know, if you're not in Houston or LA or Atlanta, then becoming a millionaire as a hairstylist, that's out of reach. Well, our guest today is Daniel Tetrault, known by many on Instagram as Hairlikeaboss, and his story profoundly disproves this myth. He has built a multi-million-dollar empire as a grandmaster of blonding and platinum hair. First, as a stylist, charging $600 for sessions out of his apartment in a Massachusetts town of 16,000 people, that's true, and then as an educator traveling the country teaching others his craft, and now as the co-owner of Blonde Solutions, a product line that addresses platinum and blonding hair. No matter which market you work in, I know that you're going to benefit from the mindsets and the models that Daniel used to build his blonding empire. Now, the only thing missing from this episode is my face. We recorded this at a time when I didn't have internet in my apartment, so I had to use my hotspot. So you're just going to hear my voice for this one, but the conversation, I hope, is still high quality. And I also wanted to note that if you haven't already liked and subscribed on YouTube or on the podcast aggregator that you're using, please do so and leave us a rating and a comment. It would go a long way towards sharing this podcast with others. Without any further ado, here is Hair Like a Boss on the Millionaire Hairstylist Podcast.
Welcome, dude. It looks sunny where you are.
Oh yeah, it's super sunny. Well, I'm on the East Coast, so it's bright.
Well, Daniel, I don't even know what to call you. Hair Like a Boss, Danny, Dan. What do you go by?
If you don't know me, if you don't know me, I'm Hair Like a Boss. But if you know me, it's just Dan or Daniel.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Daniel, we couldn't be more excited to chat with you. After you sent me your numbers for Blonde Solutions, we were like, okay, dude's in the 7-figure club. We got to get you on the podcast. And we couldn't be more excited to talk.
I'm very excited when my partner sent me that. I guess we were sitting on it for a while, but we don't watch the numbers. But when they sent that and it was just a message of like, we are officially made $1 million, I was like, holy fuck. Like, you see it coming, but like, you don't ever expect it. You know what I mean?
This is like the first thing that stands out to me. What do you mean you don't check the numbers? You're not like an obsessive guy logging into Shopify, constantly checking the numbers?
Nah. I don't even know, like, I know what's in my personal bank account, but I still don't even know what's in my educational bank account. And I was making a lot of money in that.
I'm impressed. I feel like I'm so neurotic. I'm always like checking things. I feel like Cash, you are too.
No, because I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to do whatever you got to do to make the most money. And whatever happens from it is going to happen from it.
Well, that helps. That sets us up for the next question then, because we're going to get to where you started and how this grew. But as it stands right now, I think I'm just curious, like, what does a day look like, the average day for Hair Like a Boss? How do you spend your time?
Right now, I wake up about 8, sometimes 8:30, jump on my personal Instagram, get back to messages. Then I jump on to Blonde Solutions, get back all to those, comments, messages, inquiries about product. And then I have my education page, Blonder. So I try to get back onto that. And then, by then, 8 o'clock can turn into 1 o'clock very quickly. And then sometimes I would say there's 7 days in the week, I would say 5 days of the week, we're on business calls for Blonde Solutions, as far as who we're working with, product collabs, international distribution, working on products that we have in the lineup, confirming design of bottles, confirming product results, just calls, lots of calls. Oh, my girl wants to ask you about the cover of Vogue. Say hi, hon.
Hi.
Hey.
So she's all tripped about that, and I was like,
your goals.
Yeah, your goals. Remember I told you, like, you do Bieber's hair and you're on Vogue? You are the male version of what she wants to be.
Oh, shoot. Okay. I mean, you guys are both hairdressers, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I tell this story like crazy. I've shot, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 Vogue covers. And I only got paid $250 per cover. And I just kind of realized
she doesn't care what she gets paid. Like when you did your first one, was it like over and you were like, wow, I did all that for nothing?
No, there was a high afterward. I just knew it wasn't a leverageable, repeatable event for me. Like if I was shooting Vogue covers like 5 days a week, that's not the career I would want. Each Vogue covers cost me $3,000 to $5,000 in wigs. That I'd have to go make and prep, and it was like 5 days of prepping extensions because you over prepare. At least I do. I took those things so insanely seriously. I was like, okay, if the art director is not thinking what I'm thinking from our pre-pro call, then I need to be prepared for other things. And so I'm going to bring 10 wigs with me. I'm going to style all of them just to make sure. And inevitably you always wind up using something else. But those getting the Vogue covers is all about knowing the producers and the photographers. I mean, that's it. It's one of the things we talk about at the Millionaire Hairstylist is the three key factors of a successful hairstylist career. We call it the 3 C's. It's clan, client, and cranes. Yeah, connections, exactly. The clan, that network, that building that powerful network is the critical foundation for achieving the height of any career. Being connected and knowing people. It's the same with any industry. You got to be connected. And really that's what it is. It's a political thing. You need to work your way up through relationships. You also have to be good. They need to know that you can deliver. Obviously, you have to be good at what you do. But Vogue covers and A-list celebrities, that's all through event. You meet one person, you meet another person, you meet another person, and that's that clan that like is the foundation of building a massive career, in my opinion, anyway.
So after the first one or second one, you're like, never mind.
Yeah, I think it was more like it took me several to start realizing I was losing a lot of money because they cost me. I'd literally have to go spend $3,000 to $5,000. And it was cool to add to my book, and that did yield new relationships. And what I consider that work that's qualifying work. It's not income work.
Yeah.
It's very different work. And so I always tell people in the beginning of your career, focus on qualifying yourself, establish yourself as an absolute authority in a small area, just like what we see you did in blonding. You didn't feel I'm a colorist, and what I did with the Vogue covers is I marketed myself as a wig expert, and I wasn't. I just said I was like, I'm the wig guy. And then they're like, oh, you do wigs? I'm like, yeah. And then they're like, we need this shoot done. And I was like, okay. So I started working with wigs all the time. I had to go buy them and pretend to be an expert and
figure it out.
Yeah.
That's good, though. That's, shit. You got to make it where you get it.
That's right. So I knew I wanted it so bad, and no one was ever going to let me in that door. So I just had to go home after work and work on some wigs and get good because I needed to deliver. So I found a photographer. I literally shot nights and weekends all the time practicing wigs. I started making wigs, and eventually I did become a wig expert. But at that point I was shooting the Vogue covers. But when I first started, I wanted to position myself in the industry as a person who could go to wigs because no one could do them. Everyone I worked with was like, I don't know what to do.
Kudos to you.
Oh,
Take
thanks,
it before
man.
you make it.
Yeah. Hey, have you ever had to do that?
Yeah. Like what I teach in my classes, like when I first started doing like full head bleach and tones, I really only had 3 clients that were doing it, but I took so many pictures and advertised it like I was doing them all the time that people trusted it. Like I could do them. I just didn't have many clients because I was in an area where you didn't see it often. It was more or less a new thing coming along. But by advertising it more and high quality, that people trusted you. So then more people reach out to you.
Tell me more about how you came up with that, because most people, I want to know more about that. A lot of people, they limit themselves to what's real today.
Like what's going on now,
instead of telling the truth in advance, where it's like you use these 3 clients to expose your work in large volume, leveraging Instagram and platforms where you could show it that way. Tell me more about that. How'd you stumble across that as a strategy?
So it wasn't, the strategy really came from, I feel like a lot of where the most money is where the minority are working. like where the less results or the little niche down on certain things. Like if you can get into an area where it's hard to do and not a lot of many people are doing it, then you become more valuable. So when I first got into it, like I looked at like people, for example, like Zach Mesquith. Like I checked him out, I saw him doing it. Then I started like looking around and seeing who actually really did bleach and tones from the root out and just like constantly left it blonde from the root out, not root smudge, not, whatever it may be, like literally platinum from root out. And after looking, there was people doing it here and there, but there weren't people doing it over and over and over and over, like as a result. So I saw that there was an area there for me to come in, and him and I are completely different people, like different style, demeanor, personality, everything. So, that's just branding. Like and he was in fucking California, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I'm not worried about taking his clients or him being worried about me. And we became friends over time, and we ended up meeting up a few times. But I just started taking clients. So I just looked for what wasn't done in my area. But fortunately for me, I was doing a lot of results that weren't done in my area. But then I started looking at, even like more of the unicorn results. So I would say I probably had about 3 girls that I was working on consistently, maybe 4. And I was able to get them super, super light. And then I was just advertising more and more, putting a lot of stuff into my stories, videos. But I was just a big advocate for like blondes in general in the beginning, because I just saw so many stylists lying about like the possibilities of what could happen in like one session, or the hair being damaged or anything like that. And I just find that a lot of stylists who can't produce level 10 results speak poorly because they're not educated, nor do they take the time to give the results they can or should be able to do. So I guess I was just always speaking up about like, the proper pricing and the results actually happening. And then from doing those clients, education came about really quickly. So the more I did it, the more people were asking for the education. Because again, I reached out to Zach and I asked Zach if he wanted to do like an East Coast, West Coast together and just sell like big ass classes. And again, people loved us together. And this is when people knew that we were friends and people liked our energy together. But he didn't want to do that. So I was like, all right, I'm going to start doing my own education. Not like I was getting permission, but I reached out to him to do it first, out of respect. And then once I started doing my own independent classes, then it was just like a whole different ball game. Then I was doing classes because again, my classes weren't sponsored by a company, or I wasn't pushing down products down anybody's throat, which was at that time majority of what a stylist would do. They would get hired from a company to go out and then say that company's name in their classes, right? And my classes were real classes. Like I showed up to meet the model the day of the class. It wasn't like pre-prepped, half done head. It was literally like a salon situation where a client would come in, you would see the client, and you would do the best of your ability what could happen in one session at that day of the salon. So that's where I started getting a lot of recognition, again, for my classes. I stopped my classes at 30 people. So anywhere 20 to 30 people every, at a point it seemed like every Monday. I don't know if it was every Monday, but I probably went for about a year to year and a half straight of teaching classes basically every Monday independently, just off my own name. So that just got me a lot of recognition. And then, I got picked up from Vogue magazine, Allure magazine, Glamour magazine, and then a couple huge like website blog type posts. I don't even know their name, but they're huge.
Okay. So this all started with, I think if I heard you correctly, this all started with you getting pissed about the way something was in the industry. Is that right? You were like, people are saying incorrect information about what's possible and you knew otherwise. And so is that how this started?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to think a lot of, well, I would say 80% of the hairstylists are doing like safe results. You know what I mean? There's a reason why there's not a lot more girls walking around with healthy bleach and tone platinum hair. It's because stylists don't want to take the time. I understand it. And that's what I hear a lot in my classes. Like these sessions are anywhere to 5 to 9 hours, depending on the starting point and the condition of the hair. And stylists don't give themselves that time because at the beginning of their career, they're told that quantity equals your amount of money that you make. Like the more hair you do, the more money you make. And that's not true at all. All these people who are doing, I would say, the best hair in the world are probably doing 1 to 2 clients a day if they have no assistant. They could even be doing 2 clients a day, even if they had an assistant. But I can tell you from personal experience and the stylists I do know, the best hair being done, the hair goal images that all these other stylists are doing, these are coming from some of the best in the world, the most educated, and the ones that take 1 to 2 clients a day and spend 8 hours on a head.
Why'd you feel like you had to do this? Why'd you feel like you had to get this message out? Or, you know,
the whole industry was all bullshit. Everybody was lying. Like there has to be some truth and there has to be someone to speak up. And what, you know, other stylists who have big sponsorships, they literally would DM me and say like, I wish I could say what you're saying, but I had no boss. I had nobody to worry about speaking up for, you know what I mean? So I guess I was probably one of the people in the industry growing, getting big enough to have an authoritative voice that was actually speaking the truth that other people wanted to say, but didn't feel comfortable or kind of like would be put in a position to say, like, you know, with their company that they were taking money from or product from or anything like that. I never took that stuff so I could be in the position to speak the truth all the time. And that's my platform. You know what I mean? People come to me if they need the truth.
I want to back up actually just a little earlier. So if I'm understanding the trajectory, you became an absolute expert in platinum hair. You saw that people were mistaken about this. You started speaking out about what you realized was the gap between what people wanted and what they're able to invest in it. You became known for what you did so very well, and then you started teaching others. But I want to back up even further. Tell me about why did you even care so much about this outcome in the first place? How did you discover this style? How did you even know, or why did you even want to put in the amount of time that took you to get? Are you a perfectionist type? Is this the way your life has always been? Is it just
no?
Like, tell me about your relationship with this end product and how you became such a master of it.
The money. Like, I don't know. I mean, Cash might know, but you know what a Hermes crocodile bag is. They don't make them all the time. It takes months to make it, and it's the most expensive bag to make, right? So it's just about product. So like, I never looked at hair as like, oh, I can't wait to get in this hair industry and just flourish and become an advocate for platinum hair. I got in it because of the money. Where's the most money? In blonding. What color blonde? Platinum. So I went right to where the money's at. And so if I'm going to go where the money's at, I have to defend my territory. You know, Zach did it for a little while, but then he just got to the point where he didn't care, because you do get to a point where you're just so known and you're not going to really like, I feel like at a time I was talking back to these people, but then you get to a place in your, I guess, dominance of that area where you feel like you're bashing people and belittling people. Not that I would, but like you realize these people don't know what they're talking about. And any type of like comment back, people like, well, you're too big to be even recognizing these people, which I never want. I like to be the 50 Cent of the industry. Like, I like to talk shit and troll, but like I never talk shit first, but I will definitely meet energy with energy. So yeah, when I got into it, it's just where the money's at. And again, if I'm gonna be doing it over and over and over, you know, even where I live locally, when I was doing girls' hair, you know, sooner or later, no matter if it's hairstylist or what, and I was doing a lot of hairstylist hair in my area, they're like, oh, it must be so damaged. And then they see the girl next to them and I did their hair and they realize it's actually healthy and strong and growing.
Where did that come from then? Because it's like what you did was you went and found the niche in the market that could derive the most profit. Is this something you've done in other parts of your life? When you were in high school, did you figure out what was trading the best and go trade sneakers or baseball cards, or Or did someone tell you, all right, Daniel, you're starting your career, go find the thing people like, where did that come from?
In high school, I mean, I sold t-shirts when I was in high school. So like I would make t-shirts. Like I guess like I designed t-shirts. I don't know if like back in the day there was a brand called I think it's called Mesquime or something like that. Or it was like paintings. So I would make them starting for our basketball team because basketball games are huge. So I'd make them like, it was Doherty High School. So it had like DHS, but then it was like a design, like a splatter type design with hard lines. So I was making for our basketball game. And then me, like I was popular in high school and my friends were the popular guys in high school. So like we would wear them to basketball games and then people would ask me to make them one. So like I was buying shirts for $5, buying paint for $6 and I would sell the shirt for $50. So I started making, and then people started wearing so much they thought I was just making them out of school pride. So then other schools started, like I started, I wasn't making them that often because I didn't really care about it, but like I guess I had a little side business just from that in high school. But I also worked, on the weekends. I was a busboy, and then during the summers I worked construction with my dad. What I wanted originally was open up a retro men's barbershop and a tattoo parlor in the same like entity, but cross contamination messed that all up. So I didn't decide that I wanted to do women's hair until I was damn near graduated.
So you graduate, and then as I recall from the last time you told us your story, you started working at a salon, and that didn't go well.
Yeah. All right. So then you graduate school, then you go to cosmetology school, and then I got out of a salon. I got out of school, and the salon almost hired me like 2 weeks out of graduating. I don't even think I had my license at the time. So I started working there, but they used Pervana, and I was the only stylist on the floor. And Pervana is very hard to understand, period. And again, color is something you don't just learn. Like you actually learn how to actually get the result you want. You kind of have to have it like shadow somebody or learn some way somehow. So that didn't go well because I just wasn't doing well. And the lady was kind of just crazy. And you have to be crazy to take someone straight out of school and put them on the floor as your only stylist. So now that I know that, so I left there, went to a salon. I was an assistant for about 1.5 years. After not being treated how properly, I left. Then went to another salon that gave me 50-50 commission, being on a chair, my own chair. And they were a little more old school, Aveda salon, and were just kind of doing old school work. So I kind of had it was like me being on my own chair and kind of taking all the clients I wanted and doing the new looks and not having to worry about competition within that salon because they literally were doing like very, very basic highlights and gray coverage. I grew out there because I knew I wanted to get out of there and then start my own thing. So I grew there for about 1 year, I would say, maybe a little bit more than 1 year. And then I ended up working out of my house that I had in a commercial residential area. And I worked there for about 3 years. And then as the brand kind of grew, I wanted to disconnect it and open up my own shop. So I worked there, and I started building my name from there. But it was good because I was coming from a high-end salon, people paying a certain amount of money, but not getting the results they wanted from the master stylist. And that was from the first salon I worked at, the place I assisted. But my name carried on because there's not many men that do hair in my area. So I was like the other guy that did hair. My boss was way more popular than I was at the time, obviously, because he was doing it for like 18 years. And here I am, maybe a year, 2 years in. But I was able to make salon money working out of my house because I understood that if I give them the results they wanted in one session or 2 sessions, whatever it may be, then they don't care. They just want to pay for the hair they want.
There's a lot I want to jump in there. And you mentioned that you focused on results over experience. So like if they were obsessed with the results, they're kind of like addicted to you. And it didn't matter if you were doing it in their garage or if they had to fly 100 miles or drive 100 miles and see you. How did that affect that point of your business when you started realizing like, oh, well, you're told so many things like the salon experience and all of this kind of stuff, but you kind of have broken that model.
Yeah, that didn't matter. Like again, the first guy I worked with, he was a TG educator, Educator, Stylist, what all the TG names they give you. And then the next salon I worked at was an Aveda salon. So then you're told, oh, you have to wear all black everything. You do aromatherapy. You give them hand massages, all this crazy stuff. And then you realize that it's like almost a deterrent to the lack of results that the clients are getting. So like clients don't care. They're paying, ultimately, at the end of the day, they're paying for the picture they showed you. And if you don't get them a 7 out of 10, then they're probably not coming back. And I'm new in my career. So I had to make sure I was doing, at least a 7 out of 10 because I was trying to obtain and retain. So I was just trying to get these people in and give them the results they wanted. But it was good because in my area, I was the first one. I can't say I don't know everybody. So I could definitely say I was one of the first ones doing ombres. Ombres turned to balayage. And then balayage had a strong long run. And balayage kind of brought me over to platinums. The last thing I started doing was really foliage platinums. So I guess highlights would be my weakest point, because I came from pushing ombres so much, and ombres came after highlight work.
How much of that was paying attention to the larger beauty industry versus people just coming in the door and showing you what they wanted?
I pushed what I wanted to do, and a lot of people forget that hair is a beauty trend. So I always watched the other countries, what they were doing. So I wanted, coming new in the game, I was looking for new clientele. So I would ideally want to be offering the newest trend. And that's why I pushed for ombres. And again, I pushed them so hard that I would say I was getting like 2, I was pushing the result. When people hit me up, I would say, hey, would you want this? This is going to be new. This is big. This is happening. And a lot of girls are like, oh no, it looks like her hair's grown out. It looks like she needs to get her hair done. Okay, cool. I understand. Because America is based off waiting for celebrities to do it. And celebrities wait till their stylist tell them what's coming. See what I'm saying? So America, I feel like in fashion is about 3 to 5 years behind because we wait so long for celebrities to do it. But once celebrities do it, then it's okay. So once, there's a handful, but I guess Sofia Vergara was one of the big ones that people looked at. And then 2 of Chloe. Now I don't know if it was Chloe at the time, but there were some big ones that verified oh, okay, this look is okay now. And then I got to a point that I was so well known for it that I was doing 8 a week. So I was doing them a lot. So I went from the guy, people saying, oh, no, to being oh, that guy's the guy that does it. So I had everybody that was hitting me up was ombre.
There's just a very basic strategy here, which is you're not hyper connected in the celebrity world. You're not working in LA and New York and going to every show. You're just paying attention to what's happening in the sort of celebrity space, even with a low resolution, just kind of seeing the hair if you don't even see the person. And then you turn around to your market and you say hey, do you want the thing that everyone's doing? And you work that from ombres to balayage, and then you ended up in platinum. So it kind of sounds like it was a combination of knowing that you could charge more for the trend, and then slowly working your way towards the trend for which you could charge the most.
Yeah, that's literally exactly what I did the whole time.
So you found this thing, this opportunity. You spotted it, you identified the opportunity, you positioned yourself uniquely to service that opportunity and fulfill it because there was a high demand, or it wasn't even probably high demand. You probably created demand in this area. Why didn't you use the excuse I'm in a small town, I'm not in LA, it just doesn't seem like there were any excuses for you. You could have though. I mean, it's crazy that you just thought differently. Did you ever consider maybe this can't be done in my market?
Pricing wise, of course, if Zach's over in California, in the bougie area of California, he's making 800 or 1,200. I'm not going to be able to be at that price. And even when I was doing it, I was cheaper on the cheaper side, but the way I have, I don't have to financially, I'm not worried about what I make every day. So I would rather be at a certain price that people were comfortable paying for it. Obviously, I feel justified what I was making. Again, what I was making versus what I was making previous job was I was making a paycheck daily. What I was making a paycheck every 2 weeks at my last job. You know what I mean? Like T-Mobile bi-weekly paycheck during college. It wasn't shit. So I wasn't worried about the money I was making. I was worried about quantity, the turnaround, and then able to narrow down even to like say no 7 out of 10 times because I was taking girls with healthier hair, situations where I can get it done in one session. Because again, the stigma is, oh, the hair is going to be damaged and you can't get there. Now I'm taking these girls in one session, 2 sessions maybe, and getting them to healthy platinum hair. So I was proving that it can be done.
So what is even more amazing about this is you're the walking, talking proof it can be done in small markets. You started to provide a service at a lower rate than what other markets could do, yet you built a 7-figure business. And you built a coaching business, and you started to compound that income on top of your craft. And how many people in the big cities don't do that? They just charge that big price, and they still aren't hitting the numbers you're hitting. So you're in a small market, you were charging less, but you didn't use that as an excuse not to start everything you wanted to do. Tell me more about the path between working behind the chair and what prompted the idea that there were other opportunities for you that you could take on as well.
I would say doing the education and teaching. When you teach a blonding class, they ask you 2 things: what bleach did you use, and what toner did you use? So at the end of the day, hair, you only make the money that you make during that service that day. Products, you make the money all day and night, forever. You know what I mean? Basically. So I guess I was at a point where people were just like, shit, if you ever come up with a product, I'll buy it. But the way I am, I wouldn't ever come out with a product that's just I wouldn't ideally come out with a product that would just be at par, wouldn't be at a product that was already out and I was just white labeling. So we end up working, my partner and I, partners and I end up working with another guy out of Brazil, selling his product as a distributor in America. We own the rights to America. And then he just started doing bad business with us. I guess he just thought we were, some stupid Americans. So we saw through that, but fortunately we got to use and learn how to run a full-fledged business under someone else's name, failing under someone else's name. And then through the connections that we made internationally through running with that business, we were introduced to other technologies and other people and other labs. And then we were reached out to by another lab in Italy that had the idea, but couldn't figure it out how to use the pigment technology that we created in bleach. So we worked on that for about a year, maybe a little less than a year, but figured it out. And then invested all the money that we made while working with that other company into this new venture. So I guess as a hairstylist, I'm just a business guy. And before even getting into Blonde Solutions, I was creating an app. I'm $100,000 in with creating a hairstylist app that I just left alone because I started going in this direction. So in my idea, the money I was making, again, with educating and then creating that app. And again, these ideas for the app, no, these other companies that are running these apps aren't hairdressers. So they don't even know what hairdressers need. I literally have this app sitting on the sidelines because of Blonde Solutions that still can blow everything else out of the water. I just don't have the time, and I'm not putting the funds over there right now to create the app. So before Blonde Solutions, I was moving forward with my education and then putting money into my app. And again, I thought I was going to be able to spend, 30, 40,000 on an app and it'd be done. And then you realize, again, I wanted it certain ways. And yeah, after $100,000, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's software development is definitely not cheap. I want to go back to where you started teaching, because you said earlier if I'm understanding you, you said people were asking me to teach them. So you'd established credibility and you'd established a mastery of platinum hair. This is before the product. Tell me about the first time you started teaching. How did you approach that mentally? How did you decide what to charge? How did you navigate building a successful teaching business?
It's the same way you do like as a hairstylist. So you start small, you get a lot of content from those classes. You do your, whatever your 100% is during those classes. And again, I spoke just like how I speak on Instagram. I spoke the truth because anybody that knows blondes know that they take a long time, that they don't always end up perfect that first session. You should give yourself 1 to 3 sessions to get a good blonde. So I was just always transparent, and people like that. They weren't, again, my classes, I would show up with, 13, 14 different products, and showed that you don't have to use the most expensive things to get the job done. A lot of stylists rely on the product brands to justify the results, when in actuality, it's your talent that makes the results happen, not the product. So there's classes that I showed up with Manic Panic Bleach and Manic Panic Developer and did what most say you can't be done with the most expensive brands. So I was showing that it's not the brands, it's your talent and the education that you have. So from there, again, it was just putting it out there. And I would say every class I taught, I would probably have 3 to 5 people come out of that class that literally changed their whole platinum or, blonding game in general. And then, then you have proof of concept. Then I was using them. I didn't even become like, now that I'm an educator, it's not about me anymore. I have to sell that what I'm selling is producing results. So I started advertising my my students. So I was showing what these students were doing after my class, because then more people like, all right, well, shit, he's producing it. He's making little mini hymns. So then I just doubled down on that, created a hair page or a blonding, my blonde education page. And really just snowballed from there. Again, everything happened so fast. I never expected it to be where it's at. Even at quarantine, I had to cancel, I don't remember. I believe it was anywhere from 10 to 11 classes once COVID hit. And, that's, I'm not gonna put the numbers out there, but it was enough money to be pissed about. But again, I wasn't like, I was like, oh, I can't wait till I worked this month so I can get this money. It was money I wasn't even seeing. It was, and in a whole nother bank account. I didn't live off that money.
Obviously, share whatever you're comfortable sharing, but just to put this in context, because I think you've mentioned this on Clubhouse, roughly what did it cost to attend the class when you first priced it and you were just kind of testing the water, and where did you land or are you today when it comes to what you're charging and just roughly speaking, whatever you're comfortable sharing, what kind of revenue these classes drive?
That's fine. So first class, I believe, was $275 a ticket, and then I ended at $400.
I remember you mentioning you making, more than $13,000 a day, maybe not every day, but per class, which is, I want to kind of just analyze really quick. I love what you're saying. And as you're saying it, it's kind of registering my mind in this linear process of unique selling proposition, niching down, focusing on that target market with your marketing. You took those 3 girls, you compounded the content, you started developing your voice and your authority in that space and really focusing on that niche and developing your voice and drawing a lot of attention to yourself. And then you started leveraging your knowledge to teach other people and generate another income source. Then you started leveraging other people to show that your teaching produced results. So you didn't even have to create your own, you didn't even have to do your own clients anymore. You didn't have to do hair. You didn't even have to create content. You started, from what I'm seeing anyway, you went from, we talk about this clan, clients, and cranes. Cranes is the leverage, the people, systems, and tools that we use to maximize results. And it looks like you just plowed through that process, right? From doing to leveraging your results, leveraging other people's results, their content. And then you went straight into what we're talking about now, from education space to building a brand and leveraging the product that creates those results. So not only do you have clients, you've got you could potentially have hundreds of thousands of clients through the way that you're leveraging.
Put it this way. My girlfriend Brooke just did a girl, because I don't do hair anymore. So she had taken a client. The client only would go to the stylist if they were using blonde solutions. So the client made the hairstylist buy it. Then they drove 3 hours for my girlfriend to do her hair, as long like I was going to be there. And like, that's what the point of getting to now. Like clients, even like not just stylists, but clients are like, are you using blonde solutions or not? Because I'm not coming.
Okay, hold on. I want to dig into that for a second. Obviously, your target audience, you would think, is the hairstylist. Buy my product so you can offer this look. Did you accidentally start building consumer attention around that? Did that happen naturally? Was that intentional? Because I mean, that's kind of like, that's like selling Jesus Christ by going to the parishioners and having them come back to the clergy and say, I want more Jesus. Like, you're going straight to the end user, so that then is coming back to their hairstylist.
I think honestly, and this has happened my whole career in my DMs, I think it's because I was always saying the truth and I was the stylist calling stylists out. So I was working for the consumer to saying, hey guys, like I worked on both sides. Like I was the middleman to say, clients, it's really going to take 4 to 7 hours to get this done. Shut the fuck up. And I was also the person saying, stylists, this result takes 4 to 7 hours. Do the work. So I was working both sides, not because of money. I was there for truth and clarifying both sides, because at the time I was the stylist having to justify to the clients, you were going to have to sit and pay me for 4 to 7 hours. And I was saying, hey, you're hitting me up because I can do this. It's going to take 4 to 7 hours. So I was always the blunt truth of the results they wanted. And ultimately they wanted it. And I never worried about pricing, because I can see that girls on Instagram buy a $1,700 Louis Vuitton bag. So pricing never mattered. I knew if they wanted something, they would work, 4 months straight to get what they wanted.
Okay, so be honest. When you were in the chair and you're giving people this platinum look, you're charging more than what the rest of the market is. But to your point, you're not charging LA money. You're not charging $2,000 for a session because your market couldn't support that. Was there a part in the back of your mind that said someday I'm going to have a product?
No.
Tell me at which point these things popped into your head.
I think about it this way. I'm going to have to give that credit to my partners, because if they weren't like, yo, let's just do our own thing. I was, again, where I come from and the money I was making from education, I was super comfortable doing education. And I'm still young. I could have done that shit till I was 40. And I wouldn't even need to do it when I was 40, because if I went in and did my app and put my app out and, the app was going to be $25 a month for subscriptions, I would still be making hundreds of thousands of dollars every month from my app. So I was leaning towards my app until my partners were like, hey, why don't we do our own thing? And then, through trial and error, I noticed that it was a superior product and a product that wasn't out in the market, that it's okay to take L's at things, because you will take L's, but you ultimately win if you're invested in so many things.
That's exactly how I approach things. And that's a lot of what we're trying to share the message with hairstylists. And I think we all learned a lot of the fragility of a single income career as hairstylists. We all thought, everyone needs to cut their hair. Everyone's always going to have hair. We're always going to be working. No one imagined that there was any threat on a hairstylist's ability to make income. And to be honest, there's always a threat on everyone's ability to make income, because, health, you never know what's going to happen with that.
I like the game of making money. So like, I don't care about the money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care, because if I cared about the money, I would already have the Lambo. I would not be wearing $4.99 thrift shirts. Or if I was, I would pretend that I paid $75 at some vintage store, right? So no, like I don't care about it, because I like the game. I like the game of making money. But once I have it, I'm like, I don't care.
I'm also the love of the deal. That's what I always say in real estate. I'm obsessed with doing deals. When you land a big deal and you make a few $100,000 in a single go, it's an amazing thing to chase down. And you're hustling for it. And I don't know, it's like you're mining for gold. That thrill of finding something and getting onto something and pursuing that next deal it's amazing. And I think the love of the deal or the hustle or the pursuit, we say this all the time. Money is just a report card for how well you've served other people. So we look at Google, how many people do they serve every day with a search engine? Like they're going to make a lot of money, right? You serve more people, you make a lot of money in that in that capacity. So if you're creating product, how many more people are you serving with a product line rather than standing behind the chair? Obviously, it's a path to make more money. When you're teaching hairstylists, you're serving more people because they're going and serving their clients. You're just compounding your results. And I think hairstylists, at least in the beginning of my career, I hadn't considered multiple streams of income. I hadn't considered building a business within the industry. But a lot of that did come from the hustle and the desire to want more and be better and grow and be kind of almost addicted. I don't know if you can relate to that, but addicted to not the grind. I don't want to call it a grind, but addicted to just kind of like seeing what I could do next.
I think it's an incredible demonstration of your value structure, right? Because at the end of the day, the thing you clearly value the most, as demonstrated by your actions, is perfection of an art form, of doing something well, of doing something correctly, of doing something truthfully.
You know what it is? I think, and I honestly do believe this, I come from forever ago, people saying, you're not going to be able to do it. You can't do it. My whole career, the whole time, because where I come from, you know what I mean? Like, so all the things, you know, even like, again, like I come from a single mother working 2 to 3 jobs my whole life, basically, to now, you know, where I'm at now. So when you come up with these things and you're talking about a Lambo and you don't even have a car, then people doubt you. So you talk to existence, and I literally had to prove myself through every stage of my life / career, saying I'm going to be able to do it. And then you finally do it. Then the only thing that you really value is that you get to do this now. If you can't see me, I'm sticking out my middle finger. So that is the one thing I value, is that I get to say, fuck you to everybody. Respectfully.
Respectfully. You can do that respectfully.
So I wanted to talk really quickly about, you know, Cash and I came together for the Millionaire Hairstylist. He and I have been friends for a long time. Cash is, as you know, an incredibly talented, smart guy. And I do okay. And we just realized there's a real power in a partnership, because I have a background in production and communications and marketing, and Cash has all this insight. So the Millionaire Hairstylist is a lot of things, but one of the things it is I think a really strategic partnership of 2 people. You said several times how important your team is to you. And I think this is something that I'm learning at this stage of my life, working with Cash, and be like, oh my God, this is going so well. We're working so well together. You know, you can't do these things as a solo act. So I have a 2-part question. The first is, tell me about your team and these people that you're working with, your partners. And the second question is a variation of that, but I'm also just curious. Tell me about some of the most important hires you've made. If there's anyone that stands out to you as like, that was a $1 million hire, or that was a high value hire. So your team, and then also the people you've brought on board.
So my team is, and so my partner, we met through Instagram, and again, he didn't have a huge following, but we met because he liked my shoes, and he ended up DMing me about my shoes. You know, he's a black dude out of Chicago, kind of same swag. So we met off the strength of like basically the same style. So I was like, okay, cool. Next time I'm coming to Chicago for the hair show, we'll meet up. So we meet up, we link up. We're both Virgos. We are very much the same type of person. I think he's I don't know how you say it. He's aggressive, where I'm not as aggressive, off the rip, but we get along very well. He's a brother to me. And then his wife, Leah, great person, definitely comes from a different business mindset, but she's well educated, college as well. And then we just, we all clicked, and it was just another thing where he hit me up as far as partners. He was like, bro, you want to get in on this deal that I'm going into? Blonde Solutions came from basically an initial only a $2,500 investment. So he's like, it's $2,500 to get in. This is what we're trying to do. And the way I looked at it is, I look at every investment as, well, shit, as long as I can make my money back, I don't care. And even if I didn't make $2,500 back, I didn't care. You know what I mean? So I was like, sure, let's do it. And like how I told Cash, like, every opportunity to me, unless I know it's some stupid shit and the other person's just going to benefit from it, it's always a yes. It's always a yes from me. I will always take advantage of all things come my way, 90% of them. Sometimes I can see bullshit, so very rarely do I say no. So I took advantage of the opportunity, just to try it out. He comes from a lot of people like, trying to do the same thing. Like, you're not gonna be able to do it. That's a stupid idea. You shouldn't do it. You're just a hairstylist, blah, blah, blah. But he has the same grind ethic as me and hustle as me. So it lined up in that point of view. And, again, Blonde Solutions, I didn't think we were even going to get to this point this fast period. We started in the worst possible position during the pandemic. And then still inventory issues. The money that we made, like, we should be selling basically, we had like 5,000 bleaches every, we'll say even 2 months. At this point, we should be selling 5,000 bleaches a week. So it only goes up from here. But even being at the point we're at now is just crazy. And as far as, hiring, I don't think we never hired anybody.
You built a 7-figure business with just you and your partner, sounds like.
Well, I can't but then you have the stylist. So I can't say like my girlfriend Brooke, like Brooke's used my product way more than me. So I can't say hiring, like the people that utilize our product properly are all people, not that we literally hire, but help us grow. You know what I mean? But that's any brand, any product, anything.
Yeah, you say that, but I don't think a lot of people realize how important it is to build a product or build a brand sort of, in concert with your end user and learning how to measure and learning how to test and learning how to, to include them in that process. I think that's a miss.
Yeah, it was good. The idea I had off the beginning, because if you go to a lot of pages, they're very commercial looking. And I didn't want that. I wanted raw, real results. I don't care if this hairstylist has 2 followers or 200,000 followers. If they do bomb ass bleach and tone or, great blonding, then we're going to promote them, because that just shows more, I guess you call social proof, that you don't have to be this huge person to be doing good results. And they're doing it with our product. And then I started pushing what we call bleach battles. So we already knew that we tested our product against basically every bleach I could get a hold of. The only bleach I couldn't get a hold of was a brand called Oligo out from Canada. But then sooner or later, we had a stylist who bought our product and had Oligo, and they tested our bleach against their bleach, and we still won. So I was suggesting, because as a company, if we all just bought these products and did our own testing, that's bias. Of course, we're going to advertise that we want to be on the product. But if we could have these clients or these stylists saying, listen, I really loved this bleach before I got this bleach, but now I'm sold seeing the results of what Blonde Solutions can do versus these bleaches. And then they just sent it to us, or they posted it and we reshared it. So it was the best concept of proof of results that a company can ask for is showing right in front of you. Like, listen, I used to use this bleach, love this bleach, but now look at this. Is your
Instagram account generating revenue for the stylists who use their product because it's driving customer interest to their local, what would you say, purveyor of Blonde Solutions product?
The way I heard that is, are clients asking for Blonde Solutions?
Well, more just that, like, are the stylists who are using your product, are they getting further exposure and foot traffic because they're showing up in your feed?
Absolutely. On Blonde Solutions, yeah, absolutely. And we're at the point where we're going to have to create an app so people looking for people who are using Blonde Solutions can find them easier. That's going to be part of the app when we have to, because there's so many people saying who uses this product, Like, if you can go into our comments and people saying, does anybody know anybody in the Dallas area using Blonde Solutions?
It sounds like you've solved a lot of your problems by allowing other people to have exposed their problems to you. And then you've gone, oh, okay, well, here's a problem, I can solve that. Here's a problem, I can solve that. You're like constantly in your DMs listening to those problems. That's how I built a motorcycle business with my brother. There was people complaining about certain things, and we were like, we can do that. And now it's constant DM, an influx of text and all that kind of stuff. It's insane. But businesses are born out of those problems, in my experience. And most of the businesses I own were born out of spotting a problem. And so it's really interesting that it doesn't sound like you know exactly where you want to be in 10 years, with your business and exactly what you want it to look like. But problems keep coming your way as you get exposed to more problems in your DMs. That kind of sounds like what's guiding your business. How are you using your DMs to drive your vision or drive your business or weigh the market? What are you using your DMs for?
Honestly, just keeping that same flow of communication, because a lot of stylists, the little stylists aren't getting listened to or talked to, or, the DM opened and responded to it. It's just like me, like right now. You think if I DM Justin Bieber, you think he's gonna reply?
No.
So that's how these stylists see these other people, not these and again, these big stylists. The way the position I've always taken was thank you for putting me being the person you come to. A lot of these other stylists take it as, I can't be bothered with you. I can't be bothered with you. So they don't have they might have that celebrity status in our industry, but at the end of the day, we just do hair. You're really not shit. You know what I mean? Like ask a motocross guy who Hairlikeaboss is. He's not going to have any idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're only cool in our small ass little pond. When they say like a big fish in a small pond.
Being a little well known in a small pond, I've seen people get very deluded about or delusional about how important they are, and it to me, that is one of the fastest career killers. Like I hear how people talk about people like that, behind their back or whatever. It's just like that person's a freaking joke or an asshole, and like that. Gosh, they don't care about people, and it's crazy that their skill is so good, and they might be really talented, and they've worked really hard, but then they turn this tide where they become their worst enemy, really, and they just cripple themselves in their career because they're not honest with themselves.
Yeah, the people who I feel like when you actually make it is when you start giving back, and if you're not giving back, then you're probably scared of the fact that you really don't got it like that. If you can't give it back, then you're probably scared of losing it. And if you're scared of losing it, you really didn't have it in the first place.
That's really interesting. Tell me more about that thought. How'd you come to that conclusion?
Because people are scared. Like anything, like if you really got it like that, then it doesn't matter. Like when people are like, oh, like people have reached out to me and say, hey, I want to I'm going to come out to you because I know this is something you're doing, but I got the idea from you. I want to do one-on-one mentoring too. I'm like, I have to get approval from me. Like, I'm going to still do what I'm doing. And if you get money, like your people. I don't worry about, even if it's a friend, you know what I mean? And it was a friend. And I was like, bro, if you could go out and make that money, fucking go out. I'm not worried about what you're doing. Like, I'm not paying attention to what you do. Like, and if you get money, you get money. Like, I'm not worried about it. But like, I don't know. I've never worried. I just know that there's more than one person driving a Lamborghini. You know what I mean? So I don't care what other people do. And it's just ego. I think, there's insecurity in ego. You know what I mean? If you have an ego, there's a place to be confident. But if you have an ego and you're scared to teach people truthfully, teach them everything you know and the full truth. And if this person gets it and runs with it, I think that's the ultimate win for an educator, is to make your students better than you. Because if you're truly educating, then you should be able to give them all the shortcuts. And if you give them all the shortcuts, then they should end up better than you. But you should be in a position to be in a whole nother lane that they're not better than you. They're just a predecessor. They're just coming from you.
That's leverage. That's the power of
leverage.
I mean,
and that compounds on itself. That's incredible.
It does.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, I don't care about hairstylists. Like if a hairstylist, the only issues I can have right now is the issues with like the owner of Schwarzkopf, the owner of Wella. Like I'm a brand owner now. Like I'm a company owner.
Yeah, there's a through line there, Daniel, that I'm fascinated by. It's like you have an entire career built on a unwavering commitment to what you perceive as truth. And I say what you perceive not to undermine it, but just because obviously that can be sometimes like subjective. But like it seems like from day one, it's like truth and value. It's like, what is actually going on? Is this actually working? Is this product good? Are people saying how it is? Are people telling the truth to their person in the chair that it's going to take this time? When you pop out the other side with this retail or with this product line that's so successful, it's because it's like people know what they're going to get and you've built a career on it.
Yeah. And that's why it's one. Again, I thought it was going to take a little bit longer, but it had to just be like the fact that I was just telling the truth the whole time. And I would literally say, I'm not coming out with a product because until I know that there's like something that could actually change the whole game. You know what I mean? Like it would have to been something, I guess at the time, something like an Olaplex, but I wasn't in, that idea wasn't even an idea. That was a whole new technology. So bleach is obviously something that exists and could be in the realm of an idea. But I just saw that all these other companies weren't even trying to improve their bleaches, because if they improve their bleach, then they possibly could sell less color, because you have to sell color to eliminate yellow. So bleach is a very low profit margin SKU. Color is a very high profit margin skew. So color, you can get made for, they're probably getting it made for like 30 to maybe on the very high end of 70 cents a tube of color. And then they're turning around and selling to the consumer for, we'll say $7 to $8. Huge margins. Bleach, you're not getting those margins.
What advice would you give for a hairstylist anywhere, in the world who has access to clients, they're doing clients and they want more? What advice would you give to them? Where should they start? How should they start thinking? Is there any actions they should be taking? What advice would you give to younger or even hairstylists who feel stuck?
Don't waste any time. Know your vision wherever you want to end up. There's money in every end goal. Set yearly plans. So every 12 months, 6 months, 4 months, 2 months, and then 2-week plans. Like literally write them down, and then work towards them, whatever it may be. And you got to grind. Like there's no time off. You just have to put, like, again, where I'm at in 8 years. If I told you I was going to own a 7-figure business 8 years ago, just getting into hair, working out of my house, I'm like, this fucking guy, he's funny. You know what I mean? But if I told you right now, if I sat down with people right now and say, you have to do all this every day, and in 8 years, you can make $1 million. They'd be like, oh, that's too much. All that? You know what I mean? I feel like there's like the pro and cons where you tell them what it takes and they're like, oh, Jesus, like that's a lot. I have to do that. I literally have to fly around every weekend and this, that, and the third. And then they'll start looking for excuses and all this shit. But all I can say is have a vision, write that vision down, break that vision down into a yearly or 2-year plan. I would say a year. 2 years is too long. And work towards it, whatever it may be. You can be popular in any type of field, in anything you do. You just have to have the vision and the plan for that vision.
That's
wow.
Really awesome. Wow. Yeah. What's your number one piece of advice for people who are looking to grow their Instagram like you did?
Good content, reels, doing, transparent, and just put yourself in there because nobody can replace you. So if you're putting you and what you're about and who you are, then no one can take that away. Like people thought I was bad for the industry because I was saying a lot of truthful things, but now look at it. You know what I mean? But no one can be better at being you than you. So no one can take you away.
Social media, in my opinion, it needs a strategy. Daniel, I don't know if you agree, but just throwing up stuff, lop-de-da, and hoping to see what happens. Even your content is consistent. It's consistent in that it's blondes, it's results, it's truth. That there's pillars to it that are pretty consistent across the page. And you're not like, it's not just some random videos of your dog all the time, or there's not a whole lot of randomness, but it's consistent enough to where followers know what they're going to get, and it looks like you do what is telling your truth, and you've set that up. Is that correct?
Yeah. And again, like my last 3 posts, I haven't done hair in a while, but we have a class coming up in May 31st in Miami. So like I'm now posting some of my old work just because now that I'm going to be working at this class in Miami, I have to remind, these people what I do.
That's amazing. I love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You throw up old work. It's content.
Like, yeah. Don't forget where all this shit came from. Like, yeah, this shit might be 2 years old, but this is what I do.
That's amazing, man. That's awesome. We're definitely we're gonna have to have you back on. I mean, this has been awesome. Just hearing your unique insights from behind the chair to coaching to building a product line that hit 7 figures in less than a year. It's really awesome. I'm sure like so many people will be inspired by this because you didn't do it in LA. You weren't working with, A-list celebrities or anything. You hustled and you didn't make excuses. You put in the work, you set a vision for yourself and you made it happen. I can't wait to see what you do next.